Are you ready to learn some genuine sales tips and strategies to ethically grow your home service business? What's up, blue collar business owner? Welcome back to the Blue Collar Prosperity Podcast. I'm your host, Paul Maskler, where we focus on helping guide you to have a prosperous business. Today, we have with us Joe Crisara. Joe is the founder of Service MVP Training. He transformed his failing home service contracting business by realizing that value comes from offering unique services, not just lower prices. Now, alongside his wife, Julie, Joe helps thousands of service professionals triple their revenue through his ethical, pure motive service system. Known as America's Service Sales Coach, Joe's down-to-earth style and direct approach comes from his personal experiences. His teachings on persuasion, selling, and closing have been embraced by businesses of all sizes, and his books, including What Should We Do?, guide professionals in selling services at higher perceived value. So if you don't know who Joe Crisara is, that is Joe. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here. What's going on today?
Hey, Paul, thanks for inviting me here. And definitely it's an honor to be part of this. I've listened to your podcast and I've been astounded at how much value you bring. So thank you so much for helping blue collar professionals be successful, at least give them the tools to do that. Of course, they got to take action on it, but you've done a great job of providing some of the stuff that they could use, the tools they could use. So thank you for inviting me.
Awesome, Joe. Super excited to have you here. Grateful for your time. So for those listeners out there that don't know who you are, don't know how you got to where you are today, give our listeners, Joe, just a little bit of insight into how your journey started. Obviously, we alluded to it in the intro, but how'd you get started and really transition to where you are today?
Well, I got started back in 1977, just getting into the plumbing trade. My dad was a plumber and got involved with that. And then I learned went to school for HVAC in 1979 and also learned how to master that stuff. So I've been in the plumbing business my whole life, but for the last 48 years, both plumbing and heating and air conditioning. And then I had an entrepreneurial seizure in 1985 to start my own business. With no qualification to start a business. I just had a pickup truck and all my tools and stuff like that. And I thought business would be easy. Just do good work and undercut everybody's price by a little bit. And I'd be able to make a living. And what I realized is that was a bad path to proceed through all as you can imagine, it was a blueprint for disaster. I wound up about $471,000 in debt by 1991. And my first marriage broke up because of the stress of the business failure or business struggles, and couldn't get a loan from anybody, so I just kept working. And then one of my customers kind of noticed and had pity on me that my trucks were all sitting in my parking lot and they didn't move, and he said, Joe, why don't you just learn how to offer the prices better? You're always trying to save money on things. You're always trying to find a lower price for me. And I appreciate your service. You're a great guy, but you don't have to lower your price. Why do you keep doing that? And he goes, I don't even ask you to lower the price and you're lowering it. That is like I was negotiating against myself. Does that make sense, Paul? I could do a better. I give him the price, and then I always tell I can get you a better deal than that, though. Then I would. My self-esteem was so low, I guess, in this when it came to business. I wasn't really, confident in my pricing and things like that. And then he said, Joe, you don't have to worry about it. It's a science. It's not. You don't got to push people into things. I told Dave, I said, Dave, I don't like to push people. That's the guy who was my customer. And he goes, Joe, you don't got to push people. You just show them the best thing. He goes, when you need tires, do people push you into tires or do you just buy them because you need them? I said, yeah. He said, you could just patch the tire. Why don't you just patch it? And I said, yeah, because I want to make sure they last. So he goes, if you're going to go on the road trip to California or whatever, I used to live in the Chicago suburbs, in northern suburbs. He said, if you want to go on a road trip to California, would you go with old tires or would you replace them? Even if they're still working, you would still replace them. I said, yeah. He goes, that's what people do. They replace things before they need to, so they don't have to deal with the problem later on. So he showed me how to do the tiered premium, mid-range, and economy choices. He taught me how to connect with people using material from the book Dale Carnegie, Win Friends and Influence People. He showed me how to take responsibility through the book The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Dr. Stephen Covey. And he gave me a bunch of science from Harvard University, the studies that were done on tiered pricing. And I was like, I guess this could work. So I tried it. And the very first week, when I normally would average about $72 per repair call. That's how low I was charging to drive out there and fix something for somebody. If I sold over $100, it would have been a big event back then. My average sale went immediately to about $1,250, basically about 10 times more than I normally would make. So at the end of the first week, I made like 24,000 on just repairs, and it was like, and by the way, my installations of furnaces or water heaters, my water heaters were selling for 350, and my furnaces and ACs were like 1,500. So it would have taken me like 3 months to sell 24,000 at that, what I was doing before, 6 months to sell 24,000. And I did it in a week, and I could pay off some credit cards. And Paul, one of the most glorifying, probably the biggest accomplishment in my life, even to this day, no matter how much I accomplish, I'll never accomplish more than this. I was $471,000 in debt in January of 1991, but by December of 1994, I was debt free. So I paid off all the debt through the stuff I learned. And that's why I'm so passionate about it, because I never want blue collar service professionals who just don't know about pricing and they don't know about the things. I was uninformed, and I'm on a mission to I want to have 1 million contractors or service business owners in this country get involved with the book, What Should We Do? The audio, I'm giving away the free audio book, and I'm doing that because I have such a passion to help people, and I want people to get value from me on this podcast and going forward. So I give that away to everybody I can, because I want people to listen to the material and hear my stories, because I think there's a ring of truth in it, Paul. Does that make sense? So that's how I got started, and that's probably too much information, but nonetheless, that's it. You wanted to hear it. There you go.
Yeah, no, I mean, it rings so true, I think, to so many people listening to the show too, Joe. Just, it's kind of the standard founder technician model of working for somebody else, think we can do this better, cheaper, faster, whatever it is. And then we're inherently people who want to help and fix. That's why we get into the trade. So we almost feel bad charging people more money, and we feel bad for being profitable, and we feel bad for showing up to a house and offering other options other than what they called us out for. In our mind, they called us out there for the Band-Aid, and they didn't want anything else, even though we're just kind of making up all those stories in our head. But when, to your point of Dale Carnegie, Stephen Covey offering 3 options and all that, we're really just serving them better and giving them options and letting them decide what works best for them, instead of us just making that decision for them and assuming they're only going to live in this house 3 months, or assuming they don't want to actually reinvest into a replacement or a better option. So love the story, love your passion, and really, your mission going forward of helping 1 million service business owners out there. So let's dive into it. Let's dive into your area expertise. Obviously,
let me say one more thing before we end that segment. Now, we're going to end that segment, but let me go ahead and just say this. My biggest competitor was in the mirror. I said my ego was my amigo. I always thought I knew what I was doing, and I bragged about how much I knew and how my company was growing, but it wasn't profitable. And Tommy Mello, who's a good friend of mine, said, he says, these true words are true, that revenue is for vanity and profit is for sanity. And, when you're not profitable, but you're keep thinking that it's going to be profitable at some point, you're going to turn the corner. That's the first lie you tell yourself. You gaslight yourself thinking it's going to be profitable, but you don't change anything to make it profitable. So any of you who are out there listening to this, don't be afraid and don't be ashamed to realize that you need help. And I'm here to extend my hand as an open hand to extend that to you. And I want everybody to be successful, Paul, just like you do. That's why you do this podcast, to make sure people have the information. But let's go on from here. I just want to make sure I said that last thing there.
No, and I mean, it is so true, because it's really easy for us as business owners to convince ourselves that, we're just quote unquote reinvesting into the business and we'll be profitable someday. But when I ask people, well, what do you mean when you're reinvesting in the business? They don't really have an answer other than we're not making any money. And your customers want you to be profitable because they want to be able to call you in 2 years and you're still there. If you're not profitable, eventually you're going to go out of business. So really good kind of recap on kind of that whole mindset around pricing. So let's get into kind of the nuts and bolts of what you do, some of the, the big things that you focus on. I know one of them is, and we mentioned in the intro, you talk about it a lot, but really ethical sales strategy. We're not selling, we're not trying to be the sleazy salespeople. We're ethically serving our customers. So what are some, insights, tips, tactics, mindset things around ethical sales strategy that actually get our listeners results?
Well, I think first, Paul, it's got to be something where people believe in the value of what you're telling people. Because here's a simple rule: nobody can sell anything they don't believe in, and they don't believe is worth the price. So if you're trying to sell something where you don't feel good about the price or have you believe in it, so the mindset is the first thing it has to change, which is that the value of the service is worth it. And I think you have to stack up. And a couple of things that make it worth that is the relationship you create with people. So one of the first things I try to make sure we emphasize is that there's value in the relationship between you and your client. And the client will pay more if they like you, trust you, and believe you can manage the project, and they believe you'll be there for the future. Those are all things that you have to wire into the presentation of those prices. So the sciences, the tiered premium, mid-range, and economy prices, it will make an impact even if you don't do anything. You just do that only. But if you can, like Dave told me, make the premium option more personalized and customized, and take the connection. I think a lot of plumbers and air conditioning and heating and electrical professionals will say, I'm good with people. People like me. We have great friendships with my customer. And most likely you do. I do agree with that. But one of the things you probably don't do is use that friendship to make sure that we can be more relevant with the solutions when we're profitable. Because if the solution is more relevant, I think both the consumer and the service provider believes that this service is now worth it. So I can't tell anybody to sell something they don't feel like is worth it. And I don't really believe that we should push solutions onto people. I believe that you create choices. Like your job is to create choices, premium, mid-range, and economy choices for every call you go on. Your top option has to be personalized and customized so people see why each item is relevant to them and why what the benefit they would get from each thing. Like if you're going to do flood protection, a Wi-Fi connected shutoff valve for a plumbing job, you better tell people I'm doing this to make sure that you and your family are protected in that finished basement so you don't have any damage to the finished basement. That's why we're doing it. So the reason why I'm doing two hot water heaters to make sure we extend the capacity because we can't, the tankless won't work in this house or whatever. So in a way, you're telling people why we're doing everything we do. Why are you replacing the faucets instead of putting a cartridge in? I did that because that would be solid brass faucets, and this way it'd be reliable for your wife, Julie, who cooks dinner for everybody. I want her to be happy when she's cooking dinner. So that extended emotional contribution is important when you are doing the premium mid-range account. So the magic moments and the connecting with people, like Dave mentioned to do with that Dale Carnegie book, Win Friends and Influence People. It does influence people. The connection. It couldn't be truer words. I think everybody could agree that that book is a classic. Although it could be a hard read because it's written in old time language, kind of a thing. It's not exactly modern writing. It is kind of written in period piece. But if you take the concepts from it, what Dale Carnegie's saying is win friends, influence people. Uh, Winning friends does influence people. That's the thing I think we have to really break that down and understand. Use the winning friends to influence people so we can extend the relationship into not just a friendship, but a working relationship where I can do a profitable job and you can have a profitable experience in your home, that you're protected and feel cared for, respected, and supported at the same time. So the trick is, how can we bridge the gap, Paul, between the financial responsibility we have to make a profit, to be there for our consumers in the future, but also feel good that the consumer feels good about paying more money and we feel good about paying more money. Make sense? We feel good about selling it for more money. Just like I guess if you were to own the best steakhouse in whatever town you belong to, you'd feel good that we fly in filet mignon from Japan every day or whatever. We that that we have a steak that costs $150 and it's special in our community in Columbus, Ohio, or Indianapolis or Denver, or wherever you live. That I can't believe there's a restaurant that flies in steak for me, and the consumer feels good about paying $150 for a Wagyu fillet, and the service provider feels good. I'm really happy somebody's enjoying this thing after I flew it here. I'm happy they're enjoying it, and both people are experiencing pleasure. The provider, the waiter is happy because their tip's going to be better. The service provider, the restaurant's going to make more money when they sell that wagyu, and the profit margin is higher there. And the consumer has a steak that melts like butter in their mouth, and they're like, "I've never tasted a steak like this before. It's amazing." Life is about experiences, Paul. I think that's what plumbers and blue collar workers have to realize. You're not just fixing water heaters, furnaces, electrical stuff, and garage doors. You're creating an emotional experience for people with that friendship and extending the friendship into your work that you do. Make sense?
Yeah, 100%, Joe. And I mean, some of the things, just to kind of recap for everybody out there listening, the personalized options are huge. And if you follow Dale Carnegie's methodology, it's actually really simple. You're just curious and you just ask questions in order to create better options that are more personalized. Like you were saying, Joe, like, oh, your wife likes to cook. She cooks meals every night. Well, that's really important. They're going to be a really bummer if this thing fails again. So let's put in a whole new fixture that's going to last longer. You said you're going to live here for a long time, all that. So when you ask more questions, just like when you go to a doctor, doctors ask question in order to provide a solution. We're not getting sold anything. We're just getting the more information our service provider has, the better options they present to us. And it's like, wow, these people listen to me. And really tying that into a steakhouse, you go to a really good steakhouse, they start asking questions. Is this a special occasion? What do you like? What do you don't like? And then they start recommending things. They're like, man, if you're going to get that Wagyu steak, I really recommend the bruschetta for an appetizer. And you're like, cool, let's do it. You didn't get sold anything. You made the choice based on the recommendation. And I think the last point that you made initially is our technicians and ourselves need to believe in the value we're providing. And I think a lot of times we and technicians kind of get hung up on that because it's so simple for a technician to do something, even though it's impossible for the homeowner to do something. They're like, well, it only took me 10 minutes. That's like the classic phrase. It only took me 10 minutes. I only needed to charge $72. And we don't, because the value you're providing is a lot more if we create, that experience, like you said. So one of the things you mentioned a couple times, Joe, was the magic moments. Give our listeners just like, what does that mean to you? How do we implement that? What are some magic moments that we can do in the trades that like a lot of people probably aren't doing?
Well, probably people didn't realize I already did one. So it's like something that you're always trying to find a route to a magic moment. Like when we first met, Paul, I just said, first of all, thank you for making the effort to invite me here to this show. It makes me feel good to be part of it because I know you're helping people like I am. So I also want to say thank you. So those three components, praising the effort of your client or anybody, your family, your kids, your wife, it just makes you into somebody who shows that you notice and validate other people. All of us are struggling for personal validation in a way, Paul, that we want to be noticed for the good things we do because there's all the bad things that happen to us or things that we make a mistake or do. Those are always validated. They're always like front and center, and they never fail to to tell us the feedback with that. It's our job to make sure that we notice what other good things people do too, and not just the bad things, to at least even it out, right? So if you do meet a client, say, hey, I just want to say thank you for inviting me to your home and making the effort to schedule this call. It makes me feel good that I'm here. And the second thing is let me share how I feel. It makes me feel good that you're making me part of your family enough to get this plumbing job fixed. And I want to say thank you for the opportunity. It just makes me feel good. So even when you first meet somebody, it could be a magic moment. If you're going to give your sister a toast at a wedding, you could say, hey, I just want to thank my sister and her fiance for inviting me here and making the effort to hold this ceremony and to hold this wedding. I want to say how it makes us all feel good to celebrate the love of my sister and her fiance, Dean. And I want to say thank you for everybody for coming here. I mean, it's like a multi-purpose tool, the magic moment, that can be inserted into any time somebody is celebrating or somebody has a challenge, which is really our life story. Everybody's story is filled with victories and things we achieve or challenges, and both occasions are ripe for a magic moment to notice the effort it took to achieve a victory or to overcome a challenge, to share how it feels to help people through to celebrate the victory or to help them overcome that challenge. I'm part of it now. And then thank you for sharing that private thing you did because you didn't have to share that with me, but you did. And it makes me feel grateful that I'm making me part of this situation. I don't think most of us realize how fortunate we are. Like even for me to be here, Paul, I don't have zero sense of entitlement that you invite me here and broadcast this to people. It is a major effort for you to block your schedule. You got plenty of things to do, and you choose to spend this time with me, and it's just an honor. I think we don't really realize how much people like that when you validate them and show how it makes you feel and show gratitude. By the way, the person who does it, Paul, feels better than the person who receives it. Honestly, I mean, when I do it, I just got a chill down my spine telling you all that stuff about you, right? And we both feel good about it. You feel good, and I feel good, and that creates called a halo effect from both of us. We both have a halo effect now. That you know what, I got to look more into Joe's stuff. I haven't. I got a blind spot here. This guy is actually. I got something I like about this guy. I'm not sure what it is, right? And that's kind of like you're trying to create that aura of I'm not sure what I like about this guy, but that's the kind of person I want to do business with in a way. Does that make sense, Paul?
Yeah, no, 100%, Joe. And it's, when you really sort of mention it, it's so true. And going back to like using it as a technician, if a technician thanks the homeowner for the opportunity, thanks for taking time out of your day. I know this, this issue's really causing a lot of headaches. I'm here to take care of it for you. Appreciate the opportunity. That homeowner automatically is starting to think like, wow, this guy's really nice. And then we feel as humans like we need to reciprocate that gratitude and give it back to them like, oh, thank you so much for coming and fixing this. And now you've already created that connection that, you didn't know this person 30 seconds ago. And now you've already kind of broken down that first barrier. So love the, the advice, the wisdom of just showing gratitude for the opportunity. I mean, if you look at it as a home service provider, when someone's looking for a plumber, there's probably 50 of them that can service any house at any given time. And they called you. We need to be grateful for that. So when it comes to that customer service, what are some things, because customer service is obviously it's like a double-edged sword. We want to make sure we provide it, but we also want to make sure we have healthy boundaries and we're doing something that we can do over and over again. Otherwise, that customer's gonna be like, man, you should call Joe. Joe was amazing. He did all these things. It was crazy. And then you go to their friend's house and it's not the same. So how can we really maintain and continue to move the ball forward with customer service while really keeping those healthy boundaries in check?
Well, I think the word customer service gets watered down and very generic sounding. Specifically, service means to take action to serve other people, and not it's not defined in a gray area or a cloud. Like when you ask the average service provider, tell us how you define if somebody got good customer service or not, and then they go, that's a good question. And they're kind of stumped. They're stumped. I have very rarely, maybe three people out of 100 can actually describe what good customer service and what good customer service is, Paul, or how do you define it? It's by anticipating what will be needed next and then putting it into your prices. And that's one of the elements that allows you to invest more in the relationship and invest more in the service. So service isn't something that you can do. I don't believe in giving red carpet service for brown bag prices, because now your family is paying a price and your company's paying the price to be used by people for service. Now that's not service, that's usury. That's me using a company and taking advantage of that. He's too stupid to know about his pricing. And that doesn't make the consumer feel good. It doesn't make anybody feel good, right? Honestly. So good customer service would be, for instance, if I were to sell a water softener, I would also sell a service where I come back twice a year to drop off salt and put salt into your water softener for you. So it's defined by putting that item and charging for it. Like, well, how much would I charge? I'm like, I don't know. What do you charge by an hour? It's going to take an hour. $350. Okay, so add some salt. What's the salt going to cost? I don't know, $50. All right, we'll charge 100 then. So it's $450 times two, $900 a year. And we'll deliver and put in salt into your softener twice a year, and that would be an extra $9,000 over 10 years. So the bottom line is that good customer service is not something that's a gray area. You're either providing it or you're holding it back. So a service of a HVAC company that sells a furnace or AC, what I realized if I start offering 12 years of service 12-year warranty and 12 years of all the filters, pads, bulbs, and consumables, that is going to wind up being about another $12,000, Paul. And the weird part is you might think, well, nobody's going to buy that, Joe, if we offer it. And I'm going to be like, you know what? Finance it then. So instead of saying it's going to be the whole thing is 32,000 or whatever it would be, 35,000, finance the whole damn thing and make it be like $497 a month, so people can see they can get this future service, but we can finance it for them too. So financing is a service. So people who say to you, Paul, oh, people don't want financing. That's BS, because that's a person who themselves doesn't believe in financing. They're looking at the bad part of financing, which is it costs money to the contractor. Well, whatever costs us money needs to be charged to the customer at a profit. We can't just pass along the cost of financing. We have to make money off the financing. I don't know if you know, but all the softwares like Service Titan and House Call Pro and everybody, they've got a special deal worked out when people use financing, they get paid more money too. You understand that, right? Like behind the scenes, financing, everybody's making money out of it except for the guy who's offering it. So guys, financing is a service you offer. The warranty is a service you offer. Extra pads and filters, you could sell those for multiple years. But if you feel bad about the price now being $39,000 or whatever, then finance it so the price is only $400 or whatever a month. And by the way, guys, if you did charge $400 a month for a system that was a super efficient system where you did all the ductwork fixing and everything like that, you would save people $400 a month on utilities and repairs if you did that, right? So the bottom line is that good service, although it is expensive, Paul, in the long run, it becomes what I call a zero net sum. You're paying for it now, but you're not paying for it in the future. But we're financing the whole damn thing. So it comes up to like a Starbucks per day, and then you're taken care of. You don't got to worry about it. So all these things define service. If you don't offer financing, your service sucks. If you don't offer the premium mid-range economy where you replace the filters and pads and bulbs and salt, then your service sucks. You're just offering normal service, not extremely good service, which anticipates what's going to be needed. So instead of telling the customer, hey, go find a painter after you just tear down some drywall to repipe a house, find a painter and a drywall guy and charge for it. And the customer will be happy to pay for it. If you said, yeah, we have a guy who will redecorate your house and fix all the drywall. I have a guy who does garage coating, epoxy coating on garage floors, Paul. He because of what we teach, he has a trailer. He takes all the stuff out of the garage and puts it in the trailer while he does it. But he does that for the customer. Then he puts storage systems in with the garage floor so people can put the stuff in cabinets or whatever. He anticipates that we want to put the stuff back in the garage. Well, I don't want to put that stuff on a brand new epoxy floor. We want to get it off the floor, right? And so he thinks about what people are going to need before he does it, and he puts it in there. So that's what service means. Service means don't just talk about it, lip service, Paul. Real service is putting it in your solutions and charging for it so you're financially responsible to your company, your family, and the client.
Yeah, and it's so funny you mentioned the garage floor, because we want to redo our garage floor. I'm like, so now we got to find 3 or 4 days in a row where it's not going to rain. We're going to put everything in the driveway, because the places we have reached out to, they don't offer that service. So like,
right.
if they offer that service, like, cool, do it. Now I don't have to worry about it. You can do this any day. But I think, to your point, going back 30 or 40 minutes, is we just got to offer it. It's up to the customer to make the decision of, hey, do you want to move this out yourself? Do you want us to move it? And then once we move it, do you want us to put it in, a weather safe trailer or storage unit, or do you just want to leave it in your driveway, depending on where you live? So you just give the options and let the customer make the decision. It's like, wow.
Because if I told you I had a trailer we're going to park in front of your house and we're going to put all the stuff in the trailer, we're going to load up the trailer with all your stuff. Then we're going to put it park it in front of your house while we do the job. We'll go ahead and meticulously they clean off all the stuff too and then they put it back in your garage. Now we can put it in a storage system, which is another thing they do, because you're going to need to say, well, do I want to put all my old junk back on this new floor, or do I want to have a storage system that would be better? So they anticipate, Paul, what are people going to have to do when I do the garage? Like, can you imagine how many garage floor companies are stopped because they don't feel like the consumer doesn't feel like moving all that crap out of a garage? Like, it's like, oh shoot, I'd have to put all the stuff on my driveway and get a tarp.
Right.
And even the garage floor companies are saying, yeah, you got to move that stuff out for us. It's like, dude, who are you telling? Anytime you're telling the consumer that they got to do something to do your job, you're doing it wrong. So good service means we will move that stuff. We will clean it for you, Paul. We will store it in a trailer and we will put it back in that garage. And now that's worth more money. It's like, yeah, I got one guy who'll do the job for 3,500. This other guy's going to do the job for 5,000, but he's doing all that stuff. I'm in for the 5,000. If he financed it, it was like, if the finance, let's say he financed it and it was like $35 a month or whatever for 5 years, whatever it comes up to, you'd be like, oh, hell yeah, let's do that too. You start finding a way to make it easy to do business, Paul. Does that make sense? That's customer service means it's easy to do business with this company. That's it.
Yeah. And it's, if we're using the garage floor company, for example, if they send 3 or 4 guys to do the actual garage floor anyway, those 3 or 4 guys could probably clear out most garages in under an hour. So it's not like a multi-day process. Like you have 3 or 4 guys that can lift stuff and move stuff. That's going to be done in no time anyway. So it's probably a pretty good margin opportunity because what you're saving the homeowner is a whole Saturday of moving stuff out, and they don't want to do that. They'd rather be doing something else. So,
Paul, imagine this. Imagine that company is also doing a service now. Every spring, we come and remove everything again, and we power clean your floor and buff it to shiny, brand new condition every spring. And they charge about $400 a year to do that service times 10 years, so 4,000 more to do that now. So you're looking at a job that's going to be probably 15,000. But you're like, damn, these people are taking care of me. And listen, not everybody wants that level of care, but now you know it's available. So even if you bought it one at a time a la carte, you at least know the company has that service, Paul. Because how would you know that a garage coating company, floor coating company, would actually come back and clean and buff my garage to a shiny brand new thing every year? You wouldn't even know it's available if somebody didn't tell you it was available in the first thing you did. Make sense?
yeah, and that's true with all trades. Like most homeowners don't know what an electrician can offer or what a plumber could offer. They just don't know that because they're not an expert. They're not a plumber or electrician. So that's all really good points. So let's take that into kind of the last part of this conversation of implementing this with our team. So I see it a lot. You see it all the time. The owner's like, all right, I'm on board. And now we've got to get the technicians on board of this, if you want to call it sales culture, but really just serving the customer better, offering more options. In the minds of many technicians, they're like, customer didn't call us out for that. All they want is their garage floor done, or customer didn't want it. They just wanted us to fix that one outlet. They don't want
Yeah,
anything
yeah,
else.
yeah.
How do we start to get our technicians bought into changing the way we serve our customers?
Well, there's one rule for that, Paul, and that rule is the leader goes first. So don't expect your people to do something you haven't done. So, number one, you have to invest in the education. I'm not even talking about money because, like, something like even the What Should We Do audiobook, like, I'm giving that for free. It doesn't cost any money. But what does it cost? It costs time to do that. So, the biggest enemy of people implementing something like this is not the people or the guys getting on board. It's the time it takes to make sure that everybody in the company has access to training materials. And then you, the owner, leading the way by saying, I went ahead and made a price option sheet like this before. You can just tell your people, listen, I went through this audiobook and I created a price option sheet just based on what I heard. You guys want to try it too? Like, I did it first. You want to give it a shot? If you want to support me on this, I'd like you to do that. So the words you need to use as a leader is, I went through this training material and I really liked it. As a matter of fact, I actually created a price sheet that he was talking about. It's in the book actually. So I followed it for our trade, for our cleaning service, or for our power washing service, or for our plumbing, or whatever it is. They tried it and they did it first. Then you tell your employees, I tried it. Who wants to try it with me? Who would support me? Would you guys support me if I kept trying this with you? And what is the followers or technicians of every company going to say if the leader says, I went first and I tried it first and it worked? I actually went to a customer and did it, and I can't believe it actually worked. Who wants to try it with me? Who wants to support me in this venture? And then if you ask your employees for their support, I mean, then you're going to get a high definition knob on your employees. Like, the ones who support you are keepers. The ones who say, screw you, I'm not doing anything like that. I'm not going to put any time into learning something new. Well, but that's okay. But they're willing to take your payroll and accept their paycheck, but they're not willing to put a little extra effort in to make themselves better and to make more for their family, to make more for the team, to make more for the client. So they're already telling you the level of service. Your team is not willing to listen to free material, support the owner and what he's trying to do. Unfortunately, you just found out that you have the enemy on your team, somebody who's accepting your payroll and accepting your resources, driving your trucks, but they're not willing to support you and your initiative. It's hard to hear, Paul, because I just had a contractor in Massachusetts last week who told me I need to shut everything down with the program because I had 4 people quit. And I told the guy, I said, did you try the material yourself first? Did you show people? No, I didn't even listen. I didn't try anything. I just gave it to them and said they got to do it. And I said, well, that's not a leader. That's somebody who's a chaos creator. You're creating chaos by giving information to your employees and saying they got to do it. Your employees are looking at you and saying, what are you doing? Are you doing it too? No, I'm not going to do it. Only you're going to do it. So change starts with you, not me. So it makes sense, Paul. Change starts with the leader. You have to make a demonstration or a beta test that you believe in it and you try it, and then ask other people for your support. I know it sounds super simple, and it actually is, but many people screw that little thing up. They don't try it first. They don't master the material or try to read the material. They don't show people that they believe in it in a way, and then ask for somebody's support. Then the last thing you ask for is the support of your team after you've already committed yourself to doing it. Does that make sense, Sir Paul?
Yeah, 100%, Joe. And I love the asking the question of are you willing or are you interested in supporting me or supporting us instead
Would you
of,
be willing to would you be willing to support me on this?
yeah.
I'm really passionate about it. I want this to work, but I need your support. Can you support me on this? And it's a huge question, and everybody's like, yeah, yeah, of course I would. Because otherwise, what kind of a sociopath employee are you who would accept a paycheck from a company and not support the boss? Trying to change your life for the better. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it sounds like so simple, but it is very difficult sometimes. You know?
Yeah, and it's probably like I've seen it, you've seen it a lot of times when business owners want to implement new things instead of going the way that you just outlined it, Joe. It's a lot of times, well, this is what we're doing now, and that's just end of story. This is how we're doing our sales process. There is no reason behind it. We're not telling them we tried it. We're not asking for the support. Instead, it's just like jamming it on them. And now, you've created a lot of animosity. So let's start to wrap this up, Joe, about getting into the book. What
Yeah.
should we do? What's the premise of the title? Give our listeners a 30,000 foot view of what should we do is all about.
Well, if you make friends with your client, you diagnose and anticipate. You're diagnosing not what people need, but in diagnosing to anticipate what they need as well as what they need. So 85% of what we're going to offer are things that are going to be in the future, not right now. Things that are going to break down are going to be replaced in the future. So now you just price that in your stuff. So make a friend, diagnose the system and what's going to be needed in the future. Make the premium, mid-range, economy choices and make them personalized. And then the final piece is what should we do? Here's the problems now and in the future. Here's the solutions for now and in the future. They're personalized for your family, so you know how they benefit. Uh, and so, what should we do? And then the customer's like, "Are you asking me to buy something here?" I say, "I'm just asking you to choose the one that's right for your family. So, what should we do? Do you think I should buy the top one?" I say, "I think you should get the one that's right for you." That's how I'm doing. And just say, what would you recommend, Joe? And I would say, it's a conflict of interest for me to recommend something. It's my job is to make the choices, and your job is to pick one. I tell customers, I don't ever tell somebody what they should spend or how much they should spend. And if they say, I'm just a little confused with these prices, you got the premium, mid-range, economy, why should I go with the premium? And then I would say, well, the premium one's permanent. It takes care of the problems now and for the next 12 years. The economy one is cheaper and it's temporary and it takes care of today's problem for today, not in the future. So if you want the problems to be solved permanently, then the top option would be better. If you're okay with getting a temporary fix and having to keep buying stuff like this over and over again, if you do drain calls as a plumbing company and you keep going back to the same customer to clean their drains, there comes a time where replacing the drains would have been better than just cleaning a drain. Does that make sense? It's like the pipes are broken. You need to replace the drains, not just keep cleaning them. So I think there's every trade is like this. They keep doing the same thing repetitively, and kind of coddling dysfunction where we could eliminate the problem completely. And then at the end of it, you say, well, the top option is a permanent repair. The bottom option is the cheapest one. What should we do? And let the customer do it themselves. And that's the answer to every outcome. So if somebody says the prices are too high, I say, let's get rid of the top option. So what should we do? I got to think about it. Take all the time you need. I'll stay right here. What should we do? My wife's not here. What do you think your wife would say? Yeah, she'd want the premium one. Okay, so what should we do? You know what I'm saying? And so really the answer, the question, what should we do, is the nice little tidy bow that ties up the package to get the job done. It's the action step, because doing all the stuff we're talking about, you could be brilliant at diagnosing problems and future problems, brilliant at making solutions, and it's going to take an hour and a half to do all that stuff, an hour or whatever. But if you don't get the job done, you just wasted everybody's time. You wasted the company's time. You wasted the client's time, and you wasted your family's time. You could be with your family right now instead of wasting time with this. Make sense? Time is the most valuable thing we have, Paul. And I think a lot of times people don't realize what should we do is the thing that brings every opportunity to a yes, a no, another appointment. If I need more time, how much time do you need? Like a week? Okay, let's schedule it for another appointment. Would you like next Monday or next Tuesday? What should we do? So everything we do ends with what should we do. Does that make sense, sir? So if you use it to ask your wife to dinner tonight, hey, we want to have Chinese or you want to do a steakhouse? What should we do? You know what I'm saying? Or you've done the choices. You created the choices. You let other people make the choice. How about this one? Your kids aren't doing their homework at home. Well, you know what? I guess we could just take away your TV set and your computer, and then you don't got to do your homework. Or if you did your homework, I would go out and play some basketball with you in the front yard, and we'd also have TV and computer. You'd have both of those things if you did that. So what should we do? You know what I'm saying? So everything in life revolves around what should we do. It's not just sales, because we're all selling somebody something in our life, Paul. Does that make sense, sir?
100%. That is, I love the book. I love the premise, and really just following up everything with that. Joe Crisara, thank you so much for coming on the show, sharing your journey and providing a massive amount of actionable advice, wisdom, insight for all the blue collar business owners out there as we continue on this journey to prosperity. Before we sign off, Joe, where can our listeners go to keep in touch with you? I know you did mention that the audiobook is completely free, but what's the best next step for our listeners out there?
Well, just so you know, Paul, we have sold 54,000 of those books and audiobooks combined on Amazon. So this is real value. It's not some kind of watered down. This is a legitimate Audible that we have. We do put it inside the Service MVP website with the same chapters and everything that you have in Audible inside Service MVP. And that is, so you do have to log in to Service MVP. So to get that, just go to book.servicemvp.com. That's book.servicemvp.com, and you'll get that free audiobook if you want it. And I give it to your guys and to listen between calls, or you yourself, instead of watching Netflix tonight, just listen to the audiobook and you can get some value. You know, if you like what we presented here and you think it could help your business, I hope it does. I hope that everybody, I just talked to a plumber right before I came on here from New Jersey, and he told me that I am now paying off my bills and I'm getting out of debt because I listened to the audiobook. He didn't even pay me any money, and he's already getting out of debt. And he goes, now I'm ready to come to a live event. So now he's coming to an event that costs like $3,000. He's going to come to an event for us, and he's going to be a coaching member in the future. So it's like, that's how I get paid in the long run. First, I give value, Paul, like I suggest everybody do. And then, you know, if people feel like investing and paying it back and being the obligation to pay it back, I will definitely accept that from you if you would like to do that too in the future. So that makes sense?
There you guys go. Book.servicemvp.com. Go there, get it, listen to it, start to implement it. Joe Crisara, thank you again for your time today. Really appreciate you coming on the show.
It's been a pleasure to be here, Paul. Anytime you need me, or if anybody wants to call me, just go to Service MVP and use the contact form, or just get the book and The contact information is in there. Have a good one, everybody.
Thanks, Joe. And before we go, as you know, there are a lot of moving parts when it comes to creating consistent positive cash flow. However, the journey starts with making sure you are priced right so you can have a growing and more profitable business. I have created a super easy to use pricing calculator for everyone in the trades. You will no longer have to guess what you should charge. You'll no longer have to call around your competition and see what they charge. This calculator is easy to use and will provide you confidence and clarity that you're actually priced right. It also comes with a step-by-step PDF guide and a video walkthrough. So head on over to thebluecollaradvisors.com/price. thebluecollaradvisors.com/price to download it today, and so you can start implementing it tomorrow. Until next time, remember, what got you here won't get you there. If you are ready for different results, it's time to start doing things differently.